Today I am starting a brand new painting project in the studio which focuses on colours and values in my artwork. And in this video I'm going to share the 3 painting exercises that I'm going to concentrate on for the next 30 paintings to improve how I use colour and value in my artwork. In my last video here on YouTube, I shared the results of a 30-day black and white value study project. Some of the pieces from that you can see on the wall behind me. In this video, we're taking that challenge and levelling it up one step to bring us back from the black and white world to the world of Technicolor. If you're brand new to painting and not sure what values are, they're quite simply the lights and the darks in your paintings. Values are really important in your artwork because they help to underpin everything from composition to perspective and what we're focusing on this video, which is colour. If you'd like a bit more information on value studies, I'll leave a link to my previous video focusing on that in the video description below. I've decided to ease my way into this project and I've figured out 3 different exercises to slowly amp up to a full spectrum of colour. The first exercise that I'll share with you today focuses on monochromatic colours, simply meaning one colour in that palette. The second exercise naturally leads onto a very small limited palette, and the third a slightly expanded limited palette working with about 6 colours in total. If values or colour or both of those things are something that you're looking to get better at, then I hope this video and these exercises help you out. And if you do give them a go, I would love to see what you create in response to this video. And if you'd like to share it with the wider world, you can use the hashtag #TheOutdoorSketchbookCollective over on Instagram. Before we jump into this project and into these exercises, I wanted to quickly say hello and welcome you to this video and to my channel. My name is Orla and I'm an artist and an illustrator, creating work inspired by nature and landscape. I love to work on a whole different concoction of projects, and you can find my artwork on everything from fine art paintings to packaging design, an ice rink, murals, and a whole host of other projects. Here on YouTube, I love to share my creative journey and the things that I'm learning along the way with you. And over on my Patreon page, The Outdoor Sketchbook Collective, I love to share more in-depth teaching, nitty-gritty tutorials, and peeks behind the curtain into the behind the scenes of my art practice. Speaking of which, in around a month's time, I'm going to be sharing the results of this very project that we're starting in this video together. So if you'd like to be reminded of that video going live to see how it's all turned out, you can hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notified. That is everything for now, so let's get started on that first colour study exercise. In my previous video all about value studies in black and white, I had set myself some parameters to work within. And those parameters were working with mixed media, of course working in black and white, and my subject matter was set for me. I decided ahead of time that I was going to respond to black and white film photos, which were of mountains with figures in those landscapes. I'm going to continue working from film photos, but this time, instead of working from someone else's imagery, I'm going to be working from my own. I think it's always super lovely if you can make things as personal to you as possible. So I'm going to be working initially anyway from some film photos from my most recent trip to Orkney. And so there's going to be a lot of seascapes initially, but I'm going to go back through my film archives from hill walking trips and all sorts that I've taken over the last few years and pick some photos from that too. What I also wanted to do is be super kind to myself and work my way up to using a full wide spectrum of colour in these value studies. To do that and to simplify that process, what I'm going to do is initially start with 5-minute monochromatic warm-up sketches. That just means working in colour this time, but only using one colour. And to get the lights, we're going to add white to make tints, and to get the darks in the palette, we're going to add the brown or a black to make the shades. And that will give me the value range that I'm looking for, but all within one colour. So that's going to be my 5-minute warm-up, and that's what we're going to do right now. To make things as easy as possible before beginning, I decided to swatch out my colour, mapping the values from dark to light. I then took a photograph of this palette of swatches and popped that photograph through a black and white filter. This way I could see really clearly my darks, my midtones and my lights. And from this, I picked out 4 simple values to take forwards into my study. I've just finished that first monochromatic value study, and I've got to say that it was a really good warm-up, but I'm going to do it one more time because I only used acrylic paint, and I actually found that whilst I was working and painting, the colours really kept on blending together. And I remember from an exercise in my last video on value studies that I tried an exercise building up the painting in layers. So the base layer was the darkest areas, then the second layer was the mid-tones, the third layer was the lightest areas, and then the fourth layer was just a chance to refine. I'm going to take that exact same thing and try it again, but with one colour. So I'm just going to grab another sketchbook, pop that behind me, make some space, and work from the same image again. So let's give that monochromatic study another go with mixed materials. I'm going to give myself a minute per layer, and yeah, that's it. To level things up one step and take it out of the monochromatic study and into a few more colours, I'm going to practice with a limited palette. I'm going to use 3 colours, one for each of the values. So I'm going to assign 1 colour to the darks, 1 colour to the mids, and 1 colour to the lights. And to figure out what colours I want to use together for this limited colour palette study, I'm just going to test out a couple of different palettes in my sketchbook to see what combinations I'd like to use. Okay, so that was super interesting. I just tested out my palette by popping it through a black and white filter on my phone, and I've realised that my mid-tones are far too close to my darkest value, and my light ones are too close to the mid-tones. And that will make a problem in the painting because there's not enough contrast. And that contrast is what gives the painting the depth and the definition and helps with everything, perspective, all the good stuff. So what I need to do is try out that palette again, but lighten the mid-tone colours I've picked and lighten the lightest colours I've picked as well to get that clearer definition. So let's give that a go first, and then we'll get to painting. I actually decided to do this exercise twice because I don't like waiting for layers of paint to dry, so this gives me something else to do whilst I'm waiting for that first piece. After I added my green midtones, it was time to bring in my lightest colour. I quickly realised that blending both pink and white together to achieve this colour was quite tricky in a very short timed exercise like this. So in retrospect, I would pre-mix all of your colours and have them ready to apply to the page. After the lightest areas, it was time for my freestyle layer, just responding to whatever I thought the painting needed. In this case, it was bringing in more definition and pulling those darker values back in again. And lastly, a little surprise flash of an extra colour, which was yellow, because I realised that my lightest colour was not light enough in capturing the brightest value of the image. So I think it's a good reminder to always break your own rules and respond to whatever the painting is telling you that it needs. Onwards to our final exercise, and that is expanding our limited palette up from 3 colours to around 6. I decided to start this out by sampling out my colours again because I just found that to be really helpful last time. On this page here, I have just gathered all of the colours which I think I would like to use in this piece. I have tried to go for 6 groupings of colours. So we've got blues, we've got purples, we've got pinks, we've got browns, we've got yellows, and we've got greens. And my plan is to take a photograph of this and turn it into black and white with a filter so that I can see if I'm actually looking at the right colours and the right values as a kind of check-in and a tool which I can use and come back to as I'm painting. I'm going to continue with my layering approach, starting from the darkest tones and working the way up to the lightest tones, because I've just been really enjoying that, and I think it's such a nice simple framework to work within. And I'm going to allow myself access to full range of this palette, but if I don't end up using all of the colours, that is totally okay. I really still want to be leaning into instinct and a little bit of improvisation, because I think without that my paintings just feel really flat. So I'm going to let myself trust my gut as I'm painting, and I'm going to continue timing each layer. I'm thinking maybe maximum 5 minutes per layer, and I'm going to be working on this beautiful big A2 piece of paper, which I'm very excited about because it's so nice to be working large scale again. Also, if you would like to work from some of these reference images, I'm going to post a few of my photographs that I've taken up to Patreon for my Patreon members so that they can use them to draw from in case you'd like some fresh imagery to work with. So just to let you know, they're going to be there and you're very welcome to draw from them. As I was just grabbing my cup of tea to get me ready and stoked up for this big painting, I remembered this painting over here, that one. I'll pop a photo on the screen, from that black and white series, and I painted it with a reference image upside down, which massively helped me just free from getting too het up in any detail. So I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to take this image and just work from it like this. Hello and welcome back to the studio. It is the next day, as you can tell from a change of clothes, and Although I had planned only to demonstrate one of each exercise in this video, I can't help myself and I really want to try that larger palette painting one more time. So, grand reveal, this is where that first painting got to. I think you can probably see that it feels like two different pieces, and it's totally fine. As I say, it's the first of 30 to come, so the 30th will be a lot better, hopefully. So, I put it into black and white as a photograph, which I'll pop on screen now. And in terms of values, I am getting a good contrast of values. This section here is the main problem area, but again, it's the first one. Give myself a break. It's totally fine. I really love elements that are happening like up here, all of these mixed media sections. In general, there's just too much of everything going on. There's too much texture, there's too much greyness. But I really think it's important to leave these, what I could call bloopers or mistakes in. But in reality, no matter how long you paint, you end up making things which are experiments and maybe don't go to plan. And I want to highlight that to you. And hopefully, the next one I'm about to share with you will go even better than this first one did. While I wrap up the final layers of this painting, I wanted to take a moment and say a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon community. Your generosity and support has made this video possible, so thank you so much for supporting my art and helping me to do what I get to do and share it with the wider world. Patreon is an online learning space where I create tutorials and host workshops to help people make more space for play, curiosity, and community in their art practice. As artists spread all over the world, we come together every month to try out new ideas. We host monthly chatty co-working sessions, and I share monthly tutorials, written guides, blog posts, a podcast, and a whole host of other things. If you've enjoyed this video and you're curious to learn more, I've left a link to my Patreon page, The Outdoor Sketchbook Collective, in the video description below. I'd also like to finish this video by saying a huge thank you to you for watching this video. If you're thinking of trying out some colour value studies for yourself, maybe even doing this 30 painting challenge along with me, I'd love to hear about it and how you get on with it all. So let me know in a comment down below, and as always, I will see you outside.